Hey there, Witty here, bringing you another... Wait, no I'm not. I'm actually bringing you something different. It's going to be my opinions on the beta so far. That is, the beta of Starcraft 2 Wings of Liberty. Just like to let you know, guys, what it is that I'm thinking of the beta so far. I've had it for a few weeks now, and I thought it's only fair to sort of sum up as best as I can, really, without going into too much detail. You know, my feelings on the beta. So I guess I'll start off with like things like the interface, Battle.net 2.0. I think it's all pretty good so far. The one thing I haven't seen thus far is chat channels, which you might remember from Warcraft 3 if you've ever played that, or Diablo, or etc, etc. Even Starcraft 1, they all had chat channels on Battle.net. And I did read something about Blizzard trying to go away from that, but nothing's sorted or, you know, set in stone so far. So yeah, there's a grayed out tab called social, so I'm hoping that that means chat channels, because if they don't have chat channels in it, they better have something damn good to replace it, because that was a lot of the fun, just sitting in the chat channels and socialising, you know, chatting to all sorts of people. Some good, some very bad. I'm sure you've had your own experiences. So yeah, the options in the game are good. You got a lot of options, graphics wise, sound wise, voice wise. You can also chat to your opponents online, but no one ever does that. I haven't heard the microphone, unless it's something that I automatically turned off at some point and I just completely forgot about it. But I can't hear, or I haven't heard anyone try to talk to the microphone to me whilst in game. But the option is there. So yeah, there's lots of detail with the graphics and that. You can make it low, high, all sorts of things you can configure. So it's good on that side. They've done well with that. One thing I have noticed is in-game, I don't see an option to whisper someone. The only way you can whisper someone is if they're your friend, basically, and then you have to go to the chat panel, double-click on the person, and then start up a chat conversation. And then, once you've done that, if they respond back, you can respond by typing /R and then your message, and it will automatically go back to them, so you don't need to be in the chat channel from that point on, once you've both said one thing to each other. But I don't understand why there isn't a whisper option in the first place. You had it in Warcraft 3 and that, so why not in Starcraft 2? Maybe that's something they're still working on. So anyway, the replay feature is very good, as I've shown you before, which you might have already seen. There's a lot of options. It shows you your units, APM, you know, units lost, all these sort of extra little features that are really nice to, you know, give the viewer as much detail and information about the game that's going on as possible. So I think they've done very well with the replay so far. Yeah, you can speed it up, slow it down. You can even go back on yourself now, which is like a huge step forward. Back in Warcraft 3, if you missed a crucial point, something that happens at 2 minutes, you can't go back to that. You have to start the replay over again and then fast forward it. Whereas now in StarCraft 2, they finally dealt with all the people whining at them about it and giving us that feature. But unfortunately, you can't skip forward. You can only skip forward to content that you've already seen. So I can't say skip to 18 minutes out of a 20-minute replay right from the start as soon as I've loaded it. I have to fast forward into like ×6 speed, get it to 18 minutes, and then if I go back to 0 minutes, I go back up to 18 minutes, if you see where I'm coming from with that. The music's good. I wouldn't say it's as good as StarCraft 1, but everyone has their own personal opinion when it comes to that. So yeah, my personal opinion is it's not quite as good as StarCraft 1, but each race does have at least one track that is good. And Protoss actually only have one track. I've checked on that, unless anyone else can tell me that they definitely have more than 2 themes. They've only got 1 theme so far in the beta, whereas Zerg have got like 7 and Terran have got like 5, so what's going on with that, I don't know. As for the sounds, all the units sound good, to be honest. They have funny things that they say. pretty much fit the characters that they're playing or they're portraying, so I'm quite pleased with that. Humorous, really. It's good old Blizzard style there. So now I'll move on to the races. I won't go into too much detail here because, to be quite frank, it is beta. I've only been playing a few weeks, and all these opinions I'm giving you right from the very start of this video and from now on, you know, they're all personal opinions. I might be right, I might be wrong. You know, don't slate me for it too hard if you think I'm wrong. So anyway, Protoss I find are strong overall. They require not so much attention to the macro, which gives them more time to basically micro. They have a lot of high HP units, but they can quite easily be brought down if you know what you're doing. So they're not overpowered, but they're definitely one of the two top races, I would say. Not bottom. As for Zerg, I think they're tied with Protoss, to be honest, in terms of strength. If both players know what they're doing, Zerg can be just as strong as Protoss. They'll always make out that Protoss, you know, own them. But I don't buy that for a moment, to be honest. Because Zerg units are like half the price. So you know why you're losing units, it's because your units cost half as much. So as long as you're smart with how you're using them, you'll take the Protoss out without too much trouble, really. As long as you can keep the hatcheries going, which they do seem to do. That's one of the things I had to whine about, is the hatchery. I know they need it way more than any other race needs an expansion, but I'm finding it difficult to stop or punish a Zerg at the moment and getting an early hatchery. There's really pretty much no way to truly stop him. It takes way too much time, so that forces the game into a bit of a stalemate, because what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to expand as well, and then the game becomes even longer, but I'll go into that sort of detail a bit later. The other thing I have a problem with Zerg is all their units seem to be fine. Hydras can be a little strong at times, but I've not got too much of a problem with them. But I would mention that Roaches and Mutalisks are pretty messed up at the moment, particularly Roaches. I think they're just too strong. I'd be surprised if we got to the Starcraft 2 release, you know, out of beta, and Roaches and Mutalisks have not been touched. So overall, Zerg are pretty damn strong, as strong as Protoss at the moment, I'd say. They're fairly hard to macro, but I'd say they're rather easy to control otherwise. A lot easier than Starcraft 1. So, moving on to Terran. Underused and underrated. There's no doubt they've got strong potential, but I don't think many people have found out what that potential is quite rightly yet in the beta. But yeah, the reason why they're not finding the most potential is because they're being forced into going Marines and Marauders and Medivac sort of combos almost every game, which is one of the noobiest combos you can do, but unfortunately it's one of the strongest, so they're not really playing outside the box, if you know what I mean. They're not really trying new things, they're just doing the same old setup. So so my general feel for the game, I'd go back to that, saying that on a competitive level, it's the game's too campy in my opinion. You've got to defend, 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 or you lose. I mean, I think that's pretty much how StarCraft 1 works. You have to defend for like a good 10 or so minutes, basically. Almost as long as 10 minutes before you could even start to, you know, really push or make some sort of action happen. There'd be little bits of action going on, but not enough to warrant the time spent bloody sitting in your base macroing away. So that's something I really don't like. But I'm learning to deal with it. It has been hard, I must admit. But yeah, it's too early at the moment to definitely say that it's all going to be pure defense like that, but it does feel like the game goes on a long time before you can actually do anything. So yeah, those are my general thoughts so far. I'll bring out another video later on explaining my thoughts at that time as well. So one other thing I would like to say is I'd like to thank you all for your support. I do love reading your comments and I learn a lot from your feedback. It's not just strategies and information about units, but how to better myself as a commentator as well as a player. So your opinions do matter, and they have helped me to improve myself vastly from when I first started uploading gameplay commentaries. I've learnt a lot from what you guys are saying, what you guys think, what I can do better, and yeah, thank you very much for that. So keep your critique coming as long as it's constructive. Thank you very much for listening. This is Witty signing off. Oh yeah, subscribe, rate and comment. Thank you.